Hotline Miami is a game developed by Denington Games and published by Devolver Digital. It's the game that put Devolver Digital on the map for me. Devolver has been a strong supporter of Linux gaming in recent years, and they deserve a salute for that. Hotline Miami was made available for Linux in the Humble Indie Bundle 8, and was released for Steam for Linux in May 2013. The story is dark, surreal, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. And the game isn't centered around the story, which is a big plus. While playing the game, I felt the real potential that the story could get in the way of the fun. I was concerned in the later acts of the game that the cutscenes would get more frequent and the game's tongue-in-cheek nature would be subverted. Thankfully, the game rarely takes control away from you in order to shove exposition in your face. As seems to be a trend here on my channel, I don't care about the story of this game. I just want to play it. One of these days I'll review a game with a story I really care about so you can see I'm not as grumpy as I seem. Much of the game's story is relayed to you through the telephone in your apartment between levels. You're given a thinly veiled mission by someone using a fake name. Then there are the more obtrusive cutscenes that come off as some kind of psychotic hallucination. These happen at the beginning of each chapter, so they're not too bad. It's fair to say that Hotline Miami has a retro feel, both in terms of its setting, but also in its presentation. The game feels straight out of the 1980s, with its sound design, fluorescent colors, thumping electronic music, and its surreal, over-the-top gore. There's something inoffensive about the way the game portrays its violence. Normally, I'm fairly conscious about violence in video games, and I find it distasteful if done incorrectly or to excess. But this game's retro, stylized presentation makes the carnage somehow palatable. This game perfectly combines its retro elements to deliver a cohesive and beautiful experience. The game's sense of humor is something worth mentioning as well. Just small things here and there, the names of some of the unlockable masks, the innuendos conveyed through the phone at the beginning of each mission, and the ending of the game, which I'm not going to spoil for you, serves to remind you that the developers were having a good time when they made this game. Like I've said, Hotline Miami doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows it's a game, and consequently there are no compromises with gameplay. You spend the vast majority of the game trying to outwit gangsters. The gameplay is classic. In my opinion, it harkens back to arcade-level difficulty, but also that arcadey feel. It doesn't matter that human beings can't turn 450 degrees in a fraction of a second while spraying down 30 enemies without losing their balance. It doesn't matter that a real person can't throw a gun 5 yards and unfailingly knock out their target. You can in Hotline Miami. It's a game. You die in one hit, no matter what, and that's half the fun. Repeated deaths, and I do mean repeated deaths, allow each level to become a sandbox where you can experiment and find the best way to slaughter the opposing forces. And if you somehow miraculously clear a level on your first go, you feel like the most powerful person in the world. The game has some unlockable features, new guns and other weapons. It also has masks which, when equipped, give you new abilities. My favorite is definitely Don Juan, the horse mask. The horse makes opening doors lethal. After each level, you're scored based on your lethality, flexibility, time, and other factors, and you're given a grade. The score helps you unlock new content in the game, but I'm not sure what the grades are for. I don't think I was graded above an A- for my whole playthrough, and due to the game's partially random nature, I feel like getting an A+ on every level would be nigh impossible. Though to be fair, I suck at this game, and when I say impossible, I mean it would be impossible for me. Hotline Miami uses a control scheme that combines mouse and keyboard. This is my preferred control setup for the game. You can use a gamepad, however I find that the thumbsticks were cumbersome and unintuitive. This is the kind of game that I'd be interested to try Valve's Steam controller with. Using the right thumb pad for aiming and the analog stick for movement might be an optimum control scheme. Time will tell. In terms of performance, I've had no issues whatsoever running this game on my modest hardware. I tried the game with AMD's proprietary driver and it ran at more than playable frame rates. However, the open source Radeon driver doesn't seem to work very well. If video games were categorized as movie genres, I'd classify Hotline Miami as a psychological thriller. It's a visceral, top-down killing spree that toys with the idea of sanity. This game is definitely worth your money, especially if it's on sale. You'll get 5 to 8 hours out of it, depending on if you try to unlock everything or not. The game is available for Linux on Steam, on Good Old Games, and through the Humble Store. Links are available in the description. So what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment of Hotline Miami? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to check out my other videos, including my previous Most Wanted games for SteamOS. If you enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more from me, the Linux Gamer. Thanks for watching.